Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, June 6th, 2021, Dars Highlights. The Dars featured a question by Sidi Nuruddin from Morocco, who had a dream in which he saw himself covered in chains, and the Shaykh pulled him from hell and put him in paradise. But the door remained open, and he was scared that he would leave paradise. Then the Shaykh's son came and closed the door and locked it. And Sidi Nuruddin prayed for a good death, and the Shaykh prayed for him and for all of us. Ameen. The Shaykh comments, "Indeed, there are people who will be dragged to paradise in chains." This is a well-known hadith. But how could one be dragged in chains in the presence of the Shaykh? How could you be pulled to the Shaykh in chains? There are those who come looking for the Shaykh, having prior knowledge about him, and they find him, they pledge their allegiance, they find the treasure and the door to the opening. Babul Fath. Then there are those who the Shaykh comes looking for them, and they're unaware of him. For example, this may happen during a journey. He attends a gathering, for instance, and finds the Shaykh without knowing anything about him or the tariqah. The Shaykh's words happen to affect him, and he finds that he must pledge allegiance to him. In this case, it's as if the Shaykh brings the murid to him. Or perhaps the Shaykh is traveling, and he stops at a house and asks for water. They give it to him thinking that he's a simple traveler, but the Shaykh seizes the moment and invites them to the path and casts the light of nearness into their hearts. Here it's as if he drags to paradise those people despite themselves. There's a well-known story that's told in Islamic literature about a righteous man who would make sweets, or he was a baker, and he would invoke blessings upon the Prophet ﷺ every time he turned the dough over in the oil. At the same time, there was another great righteous man who visited a mosque and wanted to spend the night there in worship. But the guard would not let him and dragged him out of the mosque and closed the door. Then this great Imam finds himself at the feet of that righteous baker, invoking God every time he turned the dough over in the oil. He asked him why he was doing this. What is the wisdom and the secret of this invocation during your work? The man replied that he did it always from morning to night, so that he was always invoking God at all times. He asked him, "Have you reaped any fruits from this?" The baker replied, "Yes, God always answers my supplications, except for one." Then the righteous Imam says, "Which one is that?" And the baker said, "Well, I actually really want to meet this righteous Imam named so-and-so." And so the Imam says, "God has answered your prayer, for I am that man." What this means is that you continue to invoke God, and you pay no heed to anything else. But to enter the presence of God is something that God must choose for you. There's no other way in. God pulled that righteous Imam to the baker in chains in response to the prayer of the baker, who was always invoking God. You might be a person of constant invocation and ask God to allow you to meet a certain righteous person, such as Sayyiduna al-Khidr, who many people desire to meet, and God may allow you to meet him. Again, it's as if al-Khidr is being dragged to you in that encounter. So, my dear brother, if you desire the garden of Gnosis, Jannatul Ma'rifah, and you are in the hell of desire and farness, we all desire paradise, for that is the door to the Prophet ﷺ and to God. We desire not the place, but the Lord of that place, that we may see the beauty of the names, which we could not see in this world. So what should the dear brother do? You came to the tariqah despite yourself, and it pulled you out of the darkness of your desires into the light of the names and the attributes, the garden of ma'rifah. It brought you there despite yourself. Then you feared falling back. which is not an irrational fear, for we all fear that we may lose what God has given us. Then the Shaykh's son comes to you in a dream, and it's the Shaykh's son who closes the door so that you do not slip away from paradise. What does that mean? It may mean that you will live a long life and live to see the time of the Shaykh as well as the time of his sons. Also, as long as you are in the presence of the names, you must understand the science of the names, and you must strive as much as you are able to retain what you have been given and not return to your old state. And fear God's plot, his makr. May God open the way to you and to all of us. There is no need for the listener to object to a dream like this and say, "What? The Shaykh pulls him out of hell and into paradise? This is heresy." It's not like this at all. You have been taken out of the darkness of your soul, of your desires, of your preferences and inclinations. God purified your heart with an illuminated pledge of allegiance. You approached the light of the names and the attributes, which was the most precious thing Adam took from paradise. We taught Adam the names. What else is in paradise? The Prophet and Ahlul Bayt, the Prophet and his progeny. There is no need to delve any further into it than this. There was also a question from Sidi Hassan from Germany, who said, when the white light is cast into the heart, does it make a kind of sound, or am I just imagining things? Does this reverberation have any meaning? The Shaykh responds, the sound that you refer to is not a sound you hear with your physical ears. The light of God is the reality of the thing. It's not the thing itself. The sounds you hear with your ears are occasioned by thingness, or by the status of a thing being a thing. I speak, you hear. Who made this speech? I did, by God's command. My lips, my tongue, my movements, the motions of a given created being. But your light is not a created being. It's the reality of the created being. So you don't hear it. What do you hear? You hear a likeness, a mathal. The likeness of his light is as a niche wherein is a lamp. The lamp is in a glass. The glass is as a glittering star. This glittering star that shines with light. For a material example, you see the light of the sun changing from morning to evening. But do you hear it? No, but you see it. But if you have a sensitive device, you can hear the sound of the light wave. A sound, but not like conventional sounds. So when the light is cast into the heart, will you hear it? No, but you will hear something from your heart, which receives the light. I do not say that this is a mere imagination. This is why the awliya, the friends of God, sometimes say, my heart told me, حدثني قلبي, not حدثني ربي, not my Lord told me. For to say that would be ignorant of God. If I say it, it means that I'm talking about what I read in the Quran. God talks to you in the Quran. But when you say, my heart told me, it means God inspired your heart, and you heard it, almost as if it had a sound. It is not that the light itself makes a sound. Does this reverberation have a meaning? Yes, for as long as God says, مَثَلُ نُورِهِ كَمِشْكَاتٍ, the likeness of his light is as a niche. This likeness must have a sound. Wherein is a lamp? This lamp has heat, which means it must also have a sound. Even the sun has a sound if you are close enough to hear it. The lamp is in a glass. The glass has a sound. This subtlety cast into the light has a sound. The integration of the glass and the lamp, which in the fourth likeness becomes as a resplendent planet or glittering star, also makes a sound. When a shining glass lamp lights up a niche, it shows you what is inside the niche. This glass lamp is a likeness of the light of the heavens and the earth. Is there motion in the heavens and the earth or not? Of course there is. The command descends from the heavens to the earth. The deeds are lifted up. Everything sings the praises of the Lord. A niche that incorporates all physical things and their motions. It shows us all these forms and their motions, all languages, for every atom in the cosmos needs a niche, and without it the heavens and earth would not exist. It would have no sound, form, body, shape, or anything else. Now the sound of the glittering star, al-Durri, is not like other sounds. Its language is not like other languages. It produces all of them. Its shape is that of a star, but it lights up all other shapes and states. Does this mean that the glittering star is God Himself? No, it is the command reality of the heavens and the earth. It is a propensity that God has placed in this glittering star. The human heart pumps blood, which carries oxygen to the whole body. Without the heart, the human body dies. But it can live without the hand or without the eye. The same goes for the glittering star. Without it, there would be no sounds, no motions, no forms or bodies. It lights them all up for us. Its sound is not like other sounds, and it comprehends all sounds. Your connection to this star or resplendent planet must therefore be stronger than your connection to any other sounds. Indeed, it should be your only connection, all others being annihilated, because it's the reality that shows you this where, this Ainiya, in which we find ourselves in the here below. The same faqir asked the Shaykh, should the advice of a dead righteous man in a dream be followed as truth? The Shaykh responds, if you understand its meaning, then good, you know what to do. Or ask someone who knows how to interpret it. If it contradicts the law, it may be that you do not understand it, and so therefore you should ask someone who knows. If the man is righteous, there must be righteousness in the command. There was also a question from a faqira called Sayyidah Fatima from Tunis, who said, after taking the bay'ah in February, I saw the light of stars and moon all around me. However, I contracted the coronavirus, may God heal you and all the sick, and this light left me almost entirely. It's because I'm worried about my children. My husband also died of COVID. I no longer understand how to wayfare. And I asked my daughter when we were reading the wird how it was that she can see the light, but I cannot. I have come to feel a certain jealousy toward my daughter on account of this. The Shaykh responds, you were insightful enough to answer your own question. The light was in your heart, but your illness caused you to fear for your children, especially after the loss of your husband. These tribulations caused you to cease feeling the nearness of God. All we can say is that you should strive to concentrate in your wird by preparing for it prior to the wird and after it. As for your children, remember that you are not the creator, but rather a created being. You're not responsible for God's creation. You must tend to yourself first before anyone else. Remember how the Prophet ﷺ said, Dear God, grant me light in my heart, then in my sight, and in my hearing, and in my speech, and so on. He didn't mention his companions or the family. He began first with himself. You begin not with your children or the family, but with yourself. It is not that you are envious of your daughter because she sees God's light. In reality, you are asking, why is it that your daughter is present with God, but you are not? To become present, you must forget your daughter, for she has her own Creator who will look after her. In the wird, focus on your heart, on your invocation. Once your entire being and your surroundings become light, you may look after those around you. You must call down the luminous power you had before. By thinking about your problems, you cannot solve them. May God aid you in this, and may He return His light to your heart. Ameen. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد.